we're live.
Hi, welcome to the third season of our podcast, The Love and Victory Show with Val. We're simply excited that we have now been on 3 seasons and we have Marcia Moran, our special guest on. Marcia, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Belle. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. We also have Stephen, better known as Golden Child, sitting in here with us. We
Hello,
are.
hello. Good morning.
How are you doing, Stephen, this
Hello.
morning?
I'm doing good. I'm just glad to be here.
All righty, and then we have Crystal. Crystal, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing really good, ready to start some fire.
Are y'all ready for this candid conversation with Marcia?
Yes, I've been excited for this conversation for a minute ever since Stephen booked her. So
I think we're going to have a great conversation.
Good.
Well, one of the things that we typically ask our guests to give us about 4 or 5 words that describe them. And Marcia came with, I'm grateful, giddy, aware, fun, and curious. Marcia, can you break that down for us and help the guests to get to know you and kind of just let me get to know who you are?
So I'm grateful to be alive.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I could have died.
Okay.
I said giddy, huh?
You said giddy. So you said giddy. So since you said giddy, let us know what this giddy thing is all about.
Well, I guess I think I have more of a sense of humor than I used to have.
Okay. And aware.
I'm definitely aware of the people around me, my environment. I guess I'm more aware of other people's needs than my own.
Okay. Fun. What makes you
I'm
fun?
I'm I like to paint actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so I think people often lose curiosity
Mm-hmm.
in school.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I had my stroke and it started snowing for the first time, I went outside and licked snowflakes from the sky.
Okay. Well, I want to go ahead and let everybody know that this podcast is stroke forward. I know that you guys have seen the title and wondered about stroke forward. I'm going to ask that you guys just dig in with us a little while, be patient, and we're going to stroke forward and bring it all full circle. Again, this is actually a very, very touching story with a powerful message. And we're just going to dive right in, Marcia. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes, I
All
am.
right. Okay, tell us a little bit about your childhood upbringing.
So I had a weird childhood. My mother grew up in Seattle and my father grew up in North Dakota. And so when we were born, we spent our winters in Seattle and our summers in North Dakota. So I had like I said, a weird childhood. Um, in the summer, I was a farmer. And in the wintertime, I was just a regular schoolgirl.
Okay. And what was your family like?
Like I said, that might be a hard question to answer. Um, I think they were fun and loving, but they were not outgoing. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
When you say not outgoing, I guess my question, one would say that I'm probably at one point wasn't an outgoing person. When you say
Mhm.
not outgoing, what do you mean by that?
So my mother used to work for the CIA.
Oh, okay.
So
That's pretty
we were
outgoing to me.
well, so we were told as children not to say anything to people we didn't know.
Okay.
So keep everything silent.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay.
Hmm.
For those who don't know, tell us about the career path you chose and why.
Okay. I guess I also have, I think this is also questionable. So I started in marketing, and then I veered off into operations, and then I veered back into marketing.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go back to your family.
Okay.
And I think that that is really telltale of in our upbringing. That's telltale of who we are today in some facet. You
Okay.
said as a child, your childhood upbringing, you guys were told not to talk about anything, not to share with people, kind of being closed off. Would you say that that kind of have formed you into the person you are today, or it did early on in your adulthood life, and then you changed, or would you say that that's you're still that person, kind of closed off?
No, I'm definitely open nowadays.
Okay.
So I definitely think it changed the way I think about life. So growing up, I was, like I said, closed off. And as I went out in the world and I discovered new friends, in the beginning, I had a few friends, but I was still closed off from the world. Over time, I had friends that knew me really well. So I was at a new company, and the person who hired me didn't know if she'd made the right decision. And then I was dancing in my office one day when she walked by.
I like that.
Okay, she's the right person. She just needs to be pulled out.
Okay, okay, okay. So you're a person that really coming when you were growing up, that's not really who you are today, but it also helped you to kind of push through to say you wanted to be more open for people. Or would you say life
Yes,
experiences, right?
yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm not going to be a little selfish with these words. I feel Stephen over here on my shoulder tugging. He has something, or Crystal has something she might want to say. You want to jump? Who wants to jump in and throw something out there?
Golden
I
child.
know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know, I
I'll
know.
hop
The
in.
golden child is dying for it.
I'll hop in. Yeah, I completely understand that. It's so relatable to me. That you're pretty like you can come off as secluded and maybe a little bit what's the word I'm looking for here?
To themselves.
Yeah, right. Like you keep
Reserve.
to yourself, but then
Reserve.
I love that story of that you told that your boss walked by and saw you dancing in your office because I've definitely had experiences like that where, especially at work, where I can present myself off as like I can present myself as really professional, but
Hmm.
then sometimes it gets a little goofy.
Well, one of the things that I'm enjoying hearing as we're really diving into this conversation, I'm enjoying hearing the fact that you found your voice, and I'm that's what I'm thinking. You found your voice, and in finding your voice, you just said, you know what, I'm not going to let someone else put me in a box. I'm going to be me by any means necessary. So I like that, and I actually respect that. Crystal, I see you want to throw something in there. Go ahead, Crystal. Here come Fire. Fire has something to say. Go ahead.
I think that's it's kind of like the art of being the unexpected. Like you think one thing, but in reality you're getting something else, or you really haven't just unleashed that full potential
Of who you are.
of
It's
who you
kind of
are.
like what I see in your background. It's a mixture of a lot of different colors, and so when I look at that, the first thing I said, "Oh my God, I love your background," because I knew that really kind of almost described who you are. Um, did I hit the nail on the head with that one?
You did hit the nail on the head.
Okay, well, we're going to keep walking with this, going through it. Tell us about the day you had a stroke.
Yeah. So it was Sunday morning, and I woke up and I felt odd. And I had breakfast with my friend Rochelle, and I knew I wouldn't make it. So I picked up my phone and texted her, and I couldn't read the text. It was all gibberish. I went, okay, I'll just text her later. I put my phone down, I rolled over, and I got the worst headache imaginable. And despite the pain, I fell asleep. And the next time I woke up, I knew I was in real trouble because my entire right side was limp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So I, exactly.
Had you been
So
feeling bad or something? Was something going on?
no,
Nothing.
this was a complete surprise to me. And I didn't know what was really wrong with me. I just knew that something really had gone off with me. So I rolled onto the floor and I dragged myself across the carpet using my left hand until I got to the fully shut door.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to reach up and grab it. And so I was kind of stuck to the floor.
Wow.
So I had to reach, and I don't know how many times I reached, but I finally snagged the door handle. And I was hot and sweaty, and I just went, I have to take a break here. And I don't know how long I took a break, but I finally dragged myself down the hallway. And I ran out of gas. Like, totally, I couldn't move.
Wow. Wow.
It,
You know, I you know, I would have thought that maybe you were having some medical conditions that was going on that would have made just nothing.
nothing.
Absolutely. Life was just fine. You were going through life normal. Wow.
So I had a carotid artery stroke, which happens to 1% to 2% of people who have strokes, and they don't know what caused it.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Whew.
Oh Lord. I mean, you got me over here a little concerned. What was your initial thoughts when you woke up unable to talk or walk?
I think I was just panicked. Like, I have to find somebody to get me to the hospital. And somebody was clearly my husband. If it had
Mhm.
been Monday through Friday, I would have probably died.
Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Well, guys, oh my.
Woo!
I think this is a good place to take a quick break, come back in and dig a little deeper because this here for me is, and we'll get to where it's personal for me at a little later. If you don't mind, we're going to take a quick commercial break and come right back in. You want to go ahead and?
Well, I mean, we could stay on and uh,
That'll be fun, isn't it?
yeah.
Okay, that'll be for your editing. Okay,
So,
so
do we
are
have
we
anybody
live?
on Facebook?
We have one viewer, but that's about it. No,
Okay.
nobody said any chats or anything.
Hello, viewer.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Exclusive podcast episode.
It's totally exclusive. Well, as I was saying, it's a little personal for me, the stroke. Um, and it got hit me in a way that I wasn't expecting it to hit me. I have an older sister. When she was 2 years old, just going through life fine. She had a real high fever, and my mother kept taking her back and forth to the hospital. And they kept sending my mother back home. That was back in the early 60s. And said, "Oh, she's fine, rub her down with ice." And then she had taken her to the hospital probably in one day, maybe two or three times, and they've sent her back to the hospital, sent her back home. Well, my sister at 2 years old had a stroke because her
Oh my
fever
God.
got so high, her whole right side was paralyzed. And they told my mom she wouldn't make it to her teens and that all she could do, would ever be able to do, is scoot on the floor. And then they
Yeah.
also, again, being doing that, you have to think about that time
Right.
in the early 60s of how they viewed African Americans as if they were subhuman. And
No.
so they then told my parents that they could just put her in a state hospital. My mother never refused to. But then going back and forth, my mother was always and father was always back and forth to the hospital with my sister. Imagine a 2 year old having your normal child uh, out of nowhere. She was dancing around on the floor one day, loving to dance and listen to music, to barely being able to control her body, her
Yeah.
yeah. So this became it's your story, but just hearing you say that just out of nowhere took me back to the place of what my parents and my sister had to experience during that time. So
So
gotta love
I'm really sorry about that.
it. Yeah.
It must be horrible for them.
Well,
Um,
let me tell you, it's always, and we'll tell that story, that testimony after we tell your testimony. So we're gonna get this thing back on track and talk about the story is stroke forward, and the story ain't over till it's over. Uh,
okay.
Nobody knows what the outcome is gonna be but God. So that's how I feel, and wow. Okay, back with that. Sorry, guys. I kind of took this
No,
thing a
you
whole nother way. I didn't do it. It just happened.
It's
still
candid.
giving me
It's
those
candid.
chills.
It's
So
candid conversation. Uh, what was it like relying on others to help you accomplish your everyday tasks? Just a simple task. Let's just talk real candid about that.
So I was a really independent person before the stroke.
Hmm.
And after the stroke, everything that happened to me, I had to rely on somebody else. So feeding me. So this is when I'm in the hospital. So feeding me, going to the bathroom, I mean, everything. And I decided early on that I needed to let those um, barriers down
Hmm.
and let them do whatever they needed to do. But I would get back to doing what I could as soon as I could. So, there's nothing worse than having to be taken to the bathroom, I
Yeah.
think.
Yes. Depending on someone to take care of the basic needs for yourself,
Yeah.
especially when you are a strong, independent person, used to saying, hey, I'm going to do this. I can do this. Now I have to, before I can even go to the restroom, I have to say, do you mind helping me to the restroom? Or could you clean me up? I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Wow. Wow. So your husband and yourself had been together for how long before the change in the
26
life?
years.
26
So
years.
we,
So go ahead.
yeah. So we'd been married for 26 years.
Wow. Wow. Well, he was your best friend, so he knew you. He was prepared as you would have been to take care of him if the tables
Yeah.
were turned.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. Well, what was your relationships like with your doctors you seen every day?
Um, so you have to realize that I didn't go to the doctor.
You didn't go to the doctor? What? I
So
guess with that wall behind you, I can believe that. I don't find that hard to believe. Okay, you're smarter than the doctors. Let's hear about it.
so I decided I didn't want to go to the doctor before I had the stroke. After the stroke, well, I see the doctor quite a bit. So I think the interesting thing is that during my hospital stay and also the rehab hospital, I don't remember much about the doctors. I know they were in and out, but so they came in, they said something, I understood what they said, they left, and I forgot what they said. So after I was released from the hospital, we went to see the neurologist, and I decided he didn't really fit me very well. So I didn't go back very much, and I started looking for a new neurologist. And what I found is that the people you know often have really good advice. So when you say, I need to find somebody who does this, start with the people you know.
Okay. Okay. Really. And then not only with the doctors, not even with the people you know, even with your doctors, you can't just jump out there blindly and say, okay, I'm going to trust this doctor. What you need to have a relationship with your doctors. Your
You
doctor,
do.
you need to have a relationship because it's important for you to trust them, but they also have to trust that you're going to trust the process with them. Does that make
Right.
sense? Or,
Yeah.
so how did you find your doctors? Were they all referrals or did they come to you from one doctor saying you need to see this doctor because of something that happened in the treatment plan? How did you meet?
I met my doctors through referrals from my friends, actually.
Okay,
So, um,
that's a good thing.
yeah. And one of the most important people in my life has actually been referred to by a friend. So it's really important.
Yes, I agree with you on that. I've been in healthcare for over 30 years, and I always tell my family and friends that you just can't jump up one day and say, oh, I'm going to this doctor. You need to know something about a doctor or have someone refer you to a doctor that has an experience with a doctor, because not all physicians, just because they have MD behind their name, are going to treat you accordingly. So that is definitely something that's very, very important. I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to take this thing a little candid. I really want you to just bring it with me. Stroke forward again. We are talking about stroking forward. Um, let's talk about your recovery process. Was there
Okay.
a specific moment where you decided you had to make a full recovery?
Well, yes.
Okay.
And that's in the hospital.
Okay.
I decided I would run a 5K on my first anniversary of the stroke.
Wait, you decided what? In the hospital?
In
How
the
many days? I
hospital.
mean, okay, so you need to give me a little more information. At what point were you in the hospital and how long had you been in the hospital that you were able in your mind to say, I'm going to run a 5K?
So I was in the hospital for 5 days. And I was laying in bed and I was thinking, okay, what can I do to be better? Okay, I'll run. So I'm going to run a 5K by my first anniversary. Well, that didn't happen.
Okay. I was like, okay, okay. But that was a motivation that you had. You kind of put that out there for yourself to push yourself. That's good. So when did that happen? Or did it happen?
Oh, it didn't ever happen.
Oh,
So I said, okay, I'm going to run the 5K for my second anniversary. Well, when I was out running during the second year, I actually fell down and dislocated my elbow. And so I decided maybe that running wasn't the thing for me.
we said maybe I should try something else, right?
Exactly.
Okay, okay. Um, what was the first step you took to the recovery to recover, and was it outside of your comfort zone? What was the
Huh.
first step?
So the day of my stroke was March 31st. And I
And what year
took
was that? Let's go ahead and tell our listeners, our viewers, what year that was.
2000, it was 2014. And
Mhm.
I took my first step towards recovery that night in the hospital.
Wow.
So I gained a little bit of movement in my right side, and a physical therapist came to me that night and said, okay, we're going to take a walk. I went, okay.
The
And
night
she,
the night that you had the stroke, she
the
got
night
you
that I
up.
had, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And so she used a belt that was about this big, 3 inches or so. And she put it around me and she held me up while we walked around the nurse's station. And I'm saying walk, but I clumped really, kind of like Igor.
Yeah.
Uh, and we did make it all the way around the nurse's station. I didn't fall because she was holding me up. And the first thing I did when I got back was I went immediately to sleep. I
Wow.
was done. But they say that when they get stroke patients up and moving, soon after the stroke, they have a better recovery.
Okay. Well, I just thinking about that you had to have some motivation too. You really was
Yeah.
determined to take back control of your life. Where you had,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking when I think of that. Um, one could say, I'm giving up. Why
Right.
me? I mean, you didn't even give yourself a chance to get on this pity party. You're thinking about, oh, I want to do a marathon. You're getting up out the bed to go start walking, whether you wanted to or not, because you could have given the nurse a whole bunch of excuses, correct? Oh, I'm hurting.
Right.
Oh, I'm not ready. Oh, my head hurts. Let me lay here a little longer. You wanted
Yeah.
to take back control of your life. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. That's what you're hearing.
Okay.
I think what I find really, really inspirational is, I mean, is exactly that. Nowhere in the conversation have I heard yet that you were like even just waking up and not being able to move uh, too good. You you crawled to the door, and
Yes.
you never just like laid there and thought, oh, is this it, or
You never got onto
Mhm.
this pity wagon. And I mean, I
Yeah.
think that a lot of times what we do in life is we tend to, it's easy to go ahead and get on the woe me. And what
Right.
I'm hearing and what I'm really respecting in this conversation and talking to you is that woe me was not even an option for you. You wanted to
So,
live.
yeah. So I looked at it as, okay, this is how I am today. How can I move forward from here? And you're right, I didn't have a pity party.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean I didn't feel bad sometimes, but I told myself, okay, this is how you're feeling, and it's okay to feel this way, but you
Hmm.
can have an hour maybe,
Just one
or
hour.
10 minutes or whatever. And after that, it's like, okay, now you have to get going again,
Hmm.
because this is how you are. You can't do
Hmm.
anything about it except get better if you choose to.
Wow. I commend you. Before I go any further, I truly commend you just for fighting and believing in yourself and pushing through because I know the hard work. I had to watch my mother with my older sister, and I seen it firsthand, even though I was younger. But she's still living now, and she's over 60, and it's still a process. And so I commend you for that. I
So
truly do.
you have to understand that the people around me, like my husband, my sister, and my doctors, all those people around me are responsible
Yes,
for the person I turned into
yes,
the
yes.
second time.
Yeah, literally, because you had so much love and support and them pushing and believing in you and wanting the best for you, because that's why you're where you're at now.
Right.
Literally, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Tell us about Toastmaster and the lesson you cherish about the power of speech. Oh, you weren't expecting that, were you? Tell us about it.
So Toastmasters is something I had been thinking about for a while. And my friend was a Toastmaster. She said, come on, come on, come on. So I actually did go to a Toastmasters meeting, and they
What
were
is
awesome.
Toastmaster? Tell them what Toastmaster is all about.
So Toastmasters is a group of individuals who volunteer to go to a place where they can learn how to speak better in public and some leadership skills. And I decided to go. Now, you must understand that I didn't speak very well at this point. So this is 2016 in the fall. And I went and liked the meeting. I signed up, but I didn't speak well,
Mm,
right?
right.
So I went to the meeting time after time after time. And 7 months in, my friend said, okay, now you have got to do your first speech. It's time.
It's time.
I
7
went,
months in.
7 months in, I went, okay. So I practiced my speech and I could do it. I went, this is fine. Now, I didn't speak because I had aphasia, and aphasia is a speaking disorder.
Okay.
So sometimes I could say a few words, sometimes I couldn't say anything. Right. So just in case I didn't say anything, I made some slides up so people would have at least something besides me to look at.
Uh-huh.
And I went into the meeting, got all set up. I actually said my first sentence really well. I went, woohoo!
And what was that sentence? Tell us what that sentence was.
I don't even remember.
You don't remember your first sentence and you could not in Toastmaster and you couldn't remember it? Okay, now we're gonna make you go back.
Yeah. Okay.
Somewhere.
But the second sentence, I
Okay.
started it and I couldn't say it. This is what I remember. I started 6 times before I said my second sentence. I finished my speech and sat down, and I was really proud that I had actually finished. So it wasn't that my speech was so good, but it was the fact that I started something and finished it. That was
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. What do you have to say about Toastmaster? I know that's huge. That's a huge accomplishment to be
Yeah.
able to just start it and then finish it, and then being able to. You got the first one out, but you couldn't get the second one out. But then you finished it off. So after
Yeah.
that, it just started flowing.
Yep. After I got the second sentence out, I remembered my speech and I finished it.
Wow. Wow. Did someone record that for you?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. Oh, okay. Well,
It's safe to say that she didn't give up.
I'm just so blown away that you never stopped, that
Right.
you didn't give up. Like you just said,
Mhm.
Crystal, she didn't give up. That's something, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure if you would have gave up, or if you didn't even believe in yourself to know that you could one day, get your speech back and actually remember how you sound, remember how you talk, who knows where you would have, what your life what it would have been after that. So
Yeah.
I applaud you for not giving up on that. That's really huge and really
Yeah.
encouraging for other people, especially because a lot of people don't have that push in themselves or that motivation.
So you need to understand that Toastmasters was a safe environment.
Uh-huh.
So I also went to a lunch every week where you stood up and you worked on your elevator speech.
Okay.
And sometimes I could say something, sometimes I couldn't. And it was very different speaking in public there than speaking at Toastmasters. So the Toastmasters is a place where you can be yourself and you're loved. Even no matter how well you speak, you're loved.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Tell us about Stroke Forward. And that is, let's talk about that. That's
Okay.
that book. Let's talk about it.
So I decided to write a book, and I began on my first anniversary after the stroke. And it took me all day to write 2 paragraphs.
Mm, mm.
It took me 4.5 years to write and publish it. So the reason it took me all day to write 2 paragraphs is that, yes, my fingers went out of alignment on the keyboard, so I had to delete a lot. But also, I didn't remember how to spell words. Sometimes I didn't even remember the word itself for quite a while. So I had to look in thesaurus.com to learn how to spell. And sometimes if you're not thinking right, it takes a long time to figure it out.
Yes. Yes. Wow. So where can we find Stroke Forward? Let's talk. Matter of fact, I'm a little disappointed with myself because, and thank you for that book. I tell you, it actually, I went on vacation and it's a good read. And so it just kind of played into uh, relaxation and vacation time. I unfortunately left it at home, and that's how much I've enjoyed it. So, do you have a copy of that book? Can you put it up? There we
There
go.
it is.
Prepared.
Woo, yeah, there you go. That when you saw Crystal moving about, I had said, "Go look." I think it's in my purse because I thought I grabbed it out of my backpack and put it in my purse. Unfortunately, it's still at home in my backpack. So tell them where they can find Stroke Forward at work. How can they purchase it? Thank you for my autograph copy. Yes.
You're quite welcome. So they can go to Amazon.com and look up Stroke Forward. It's that simple.
It's that simple. Well, one of the things that I think is definitely a good read, and I would definitely recommend that our followers, listeners, viewers would go and check it out because it's definitely, and we're not really digging in because it's a podcast, so we're not really digging in because we're based on time, just how in depth and how encouraging this book is. But go read it because you can also step away from it and apply it to different things that you've went through in life that can motivate you to keep moving forward. So, what I love about Marcia, what you did here is you definitely have encouraged me, and you've
Mhm.
encouraged our listeners. Just don't stop. Just
Yeah.
believe in yourself. Keep pushing. And most of all, your village around you is so important. The people that are in you, around you, that's in your circle, um, is definitely your could be your biggest cheerleading group, encouragers that's gonna tell you you can do it, don't stop, you can do it, don't stop, you can do it. So and find a good doctor and get a good
Right.
relationship, and don't be like Marcia. I don't need to go to a doctor. We all need to go to the doctor, Marcia. You we gotta go get a relationship before something happens. But thank God you're doing fine. I love that wall. I just love your personality, Marcia. Is there anything you want to leave us with that we didn't cover?
I think the most important thing is you've already covered, which is don't give up. So if you fall down, you got to climb back up. For their caregivers, the thing that you need to do is take time for yourself because this is a long-term commitment you've made.
Mhm.
So you need to make sure that you sleep enough, you eat well, you exercise, you take some time off from your patient, and you go out and just be. Because if you give everything you have to the patient, one day you'll wake up and you won't have anything left.
Wow. It's funny you say that. My husband took care of his mother. And when I tell you, he took care of his mother as his mother took care of them coming up. And just watching because it was personal for him. That was his mom. I watched him
Mhm.
bathe her. I watched him care for her. I watched him just literally take care of her until she went home to glory. And it does. It is very hard. It is very hard. And that was one of the things that was important for me is that we took time. I got him out of that. Sometime let's just go and take a weekend, take a night. Let's just go and shut him down. You pretty much shut down from that because it is hard. It's
Yeah.
emotional. It's heavy. It's heavy
Yeah.
seeing someone that you love going through something and you can't do anything about it other than just be there.
Yeah.
So, okay. Do you have any questions for us? I'm turning the table on you now. So, what's your experience been like with the Love and Victory show with Val?
Well, I want to know how you decided to do this podcast with three people.
Well, things always happen with the Love and Victory show with Val. It's never like we plan it. I truly just allow things to just flow. Typically, the podcast is done with me, and I may pull in one or two of my team members. But I felt it was very important to have these two in, especially Stephen. Stephen was so excited about having you on set and being our first, and I see why, being our first guest back on our third season. It's a perfect topic and a perfect guest because we are stroking forward as well. We're moving forward. And then I call Crystal Fire. We never know what we're going to get from Crystal, but she's very analytical, and she's also very funny. And but she's serious with that funniness. And I just felt like this was a and they were asking, so who's going to be in here? Do you want us to just step out? I'm like, no, just stay in. And so I hope that didn't make you feel uncomfortable at all.
No,
Uh, but that's pretty much how I do the show. It's just I just kind of allow the it to just flow. What I'm feeling that day, and we just have candid conversation. And I hope that this was candid, and it was a conversation that you enjoyed having with us.
it sure was. So, what is the most interesting thing you've learned from a podcast guest?
Wow. No, oh, I love this. Now,
It's
I
your turn.
think the most interesting thing that I have learned is that most people, taking them out of their element, are just as shy as you are. When you put them in front of a mic or behind a camera or in front of a camera, the most confident person can be a little uncomfortable.
Right.
And so I learned that I'm no different than them. And so that's probably what I've learned the most from all of my guests is I put myself in their shoes. And because I couldn't even get the very first podcast I did, I couldn't even get the name of the podcast show out. And I came up with the name. So I just put myself in as the guest, and I just have conversation.
Interesting. So, from this point, where do you think you're going to go as a podcaster?
Good. Well, question. Whew, Lord. Thanks for interviewing me. Well, I think the sky is the limit. I don't know what that whole journey is going to be. The podcast started, the team said, we have a nonprofit, and the team said, let's do a podcast as a way of getting the word out. From
Right.
that, a radio show host came out of that. So I'm also a host on a radio show every Saturday morning. And I just hope with this podcast, the radio show, I am opening up conversations,
Right.
allowing people to take a journey with me, and I can take a journey with them and the team, and we go from brokenness to wholeness together. That's what I'm hoping for.
That sounds really nice. I think that's it for me.
That's it for you? Okay. Well, thank you so much. And I'm sure we will be seeing your face again. Can you put the book up one more time? I need to make sure they can see it. A stroke,
Prepared.
stroke forward. It is by Marcia Moran. I think it's very good read. Please, 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 guys, take the time, go out, go to Amazon, check it out, purchase it, download it, whatever you have to do, get it. It's definitely a good read. Marcia, I am so appreciative that you decided to jump on and be on and enjoy this candid conversation. And I'm sure we will see you again. Is there any way they can follow you, or do you have an Instagram, Facebook?
So, I have Stroke Forward on Facebook. I have Stroke Forward or Strokes _ forward at Twitter. And my website is Stroke Forward.
Okay. Because I know that there is someone out there that have experienced or know someone that experienced it that's going through a recovery. Please, please, I know that Marcia would love to be your champion, your someone that you
Yeah.
can reach out to, that can talk to you, that can help you through that because she actually have experienced it. So please take the time, reach out again. If you could, we'll put down at the bottom for those, we'll put in the bottom so that they can reach out to you again, Marcia, if anyone wants to. Thank you again, as always, the Love and Victory Show with Val and our candid conversation. Until next time, bye.
Bye. Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Marcia.
much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
It's ours. Bye bye.